All right. Hey, welcome. I am Chris with Movies and Munchies, and with me is Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. And we are trying out a new semi-regular-ish segment. This is an experiment. We'll see how it goes. But the best thing we watched this week, now that is a working, name working in progress there. So it's kind of like S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, where it's like a whole lot of mouthful of words and I don't know. Anyway,
What does it stand for?
Exactly, yes. Well, and the whole premise is, we review movies and shows all the time, obviously, but there are some things sometimes that we watch that we don't review, or it's old stuff or whatever. This segment is really just to talk about truly the best thing that we watched this week, and it could be news, it could be a show that we did review, something from the past, whatever. So we have a couple, I think, today that we'll chat about and go from there. And if you have something that you loved in the comments, please share them with us, because we want to know. Maybe it's something brand new to us, or maybe it's something that we totally see eye to eye on. I don't know. All right. So Ruben, what's first on your list?
I'm going to jump into some exclusive news that nobody else knows about. And don't be too excited. Until you hear the news, you're like, oh, this is the bait. What is he talking about? No. So I know someone. I can't say who, because I don't want to get him or her or they in trouble. But basically, they've worked on the latest Batman film, and so I was chatting to him about what that entailed, and was there any information that he could give us. And basically he said, the shoots ran long, really long, and some of the takes they had to do many times over. So there's this running kind of algorithm for films that basically says how many hundreds of hours a film is been filmed with. So at the end of the shoot, like if you've got 200 or 300 hours to edit, you've got a fairly long film, and poor editors got so much to go through of. And I think you can go and look on Google, there's like a big sheet of like the longest films in the world. There's one film that's like 28 days. But of recent, it's got like certain big titles in there. There's like 200, 300, 400. I think Avatar's up there with 400. But Batman, when they were done, they had over 800 hours of film that they've got to sift through to make a coherent story. Which just like, I'm excited, but I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
From a technical side, that editor is probably wanting to kill somebody.
Absolutely. Like, she's going to need to take a year off and never talk to me about Batman again. Don't show me any rushes of, I'm Batman. Like, nobody must talk like that to that editor.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, yeah. So they had to. It wasn't really reshoot. They just kept on doing it until the director was happy, which I guess is a good thing. But yeah, lots of sweaty, long 15-hour days, and the poor DIT guy who has to run at the end of the day with multiple like hard drives trying to back up just the stacks of them. So yeah, it is an intense hard shoot, and one of the most. I don't know what the exact list is, but definitely one of the highest ever on the amount of hours that they had to film. So yeah, interesting to see what that comes out like.
Exactly. I hope that really pays off, and so that when we finally get to see the Batman, it's like, ooh, wow, okay. I'm really glad that they did take that extra time to shoot those scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man.
So what did you see this week?
So one, this is going to be no spoilers because it just came out for me, and I know it hasn't come out for you yet. Oops, I hit my microphone there. It's The Green Knight, and this is one on your that you've been looking forward to.
I
right?
was so looking forward to this film.
Yeah, and I don't know why the UK decided to push back the release date again, but it finally came out in the US, and from what I've been seeing, the reactions has been mixed. I think some audiences are going in thinking it's going to be something different than what it is. I think maybe they're thinking more action, maybe just a faster paced, story. This is an epic poem turned into an epic adventure that we watch on screen. And for me, the lack of dialogue was actually awesome. That we get to, we watch all of just the emotion and the progress, both internally and externally, that Dev Patel's Almost Night makes. And it's just, it was wonderful. I mean, the dreamlike setting that we get from just the way that it looks, it was beautiful. Now, and I know that even with my family that I took to see it, it didn't resonate with everybody there. Huh. So
that's interesting.
So I know that, my wife was like, it was okay. My daughter-in-law was like, it's not really my movie. Totally good. And we knew that going in, that she was probably, both of them, we'll see. My oldest son absolutely loved it. Youngest son was kind of right in the middle there too. So,
That's interesting. So it's a more show don't tell story, way less dialogue, Blade Runner-esque in
yes,
like scope of its shots. I guess lots of wide scenes.
Yes, yeah, some really long takes too at in certain portions, and from an artistic standpoint, I loved it. I thought it was really good, and I thought it for me, it actually drew me more into the story, and it drew me into that scene because there weren't any cutaways that we just followed. And then, from even just the patience of the director, from the DP, all of them to sit on the shot and just follow as the actor went about their movements. I applaud them for that, because not everybody is going to want to lock it down, or at least to follow for that long.
Yeah, it's A24, is it?
It is an A24 film, yeah. And me and my oldest son were talking about this a little bit. There's a certain expectation, and rightfully or wrongfully now, that is associated with A24. When you
there is. Yeah.
When you hear that, you automatically put this movie into a certain category or a mindset of how it's going to be. And I think they do a really good job of putting out movies and choosing movies that fit within that brand image. Maybe maybe that's the right way to say it. I don't know, but I think though what could harm them also is that because everybody has a certain mindset of what it's going to be, if it doesn't live up to that exact thing, you have a massive disappointment because it had the A24 name, not because the movie was bad.
Yeah, interesting.
So I don't know. I loved it. I really want to watch it again because it is very, very, very layered. The more that we discussed the movie, I mean, the more excited I got about it as we were just talking about it at home, and all the little nuances and, well, what about this? What did this mean? What did you think the ending was? And, then comparing that with the poem, because at the very beginning of the movie, it tells us that this is an epic retelling, that it's a retelling of the story. So it lets us know right off the bat that they might change some things. And I'm not an English major. I didn't, not a literature person, so it didn't bother me. My wife, who has her degree in English literature, is like all geeked out to read it. She's got a new translation of it, and she's that's like, it's side by side. It's like the original and maybe a newer, I don't know. But yeah, she's really excited to read it, and then she'll let me know also how did it compare with what we actually saw on screen.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it when it finally comes out here, but who knows when.
They haven't given a release date yet, huh?
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate. All right. Well, let's see. Okay, tell me your next one. What did you see?
Well, you're doing the big Green Knight one, so I thought I'd do Suicide Squad because we got that early for a week for some reason. I don't know why they just don't put things out together at the same time, but studios obviously sit down in rooms and say they pick numbers out of a hat and go, here you go. That's exactly how they do it, right?
Exactly. Yes. It seems like that.
Yes. So Suicide Squad. Most of the critic response seems to be, at least on Rotten Tomatoes, really good. But in my circles, I've seen actually quite a mixed reflection of this, especially the older ones older critiques that I respect. There's one guy named Mark Kermode that here in the UK, he's like very well respected, and he basically just moans about in his review the entire way. I was so taken back, because when I came out of the film, it was my son's. He's 16 now, and it was his first 15 that he got to see. So it was like a big deal. It was like, oh, age-restricted film, cool. And we both walked out with massive smiles on our face. I think that's probably the best thing I could say about it, is that it's a classic popcorn blockbuster film that's definitely warrants seeing at the cinema. And then James Gunn does what James Gunn does so well with characters. If you take Guardians of the Galaxy, where you have those big action set pieces, but then he just messes with the characters a bit, where he shows you a bit about their background and their story. So you get to those action sequences where in some other action sequences or other films you're like, meh, it looks cool, but I'm not, I could mention Black Widow. You're like, I liked it, but I wasn't like massively emotionally engaged. With this, somehow he's managed to do a balance, I think. So it feels somewhat stop and start, because it starts off with a big premise, big action, sets you up with, okay, so nobody's really safe, so you're immediately like on your edge of your seat. It's like, I don't know if any of my characters that I want to survive are going to survive. And then it gives you background story, and then it goes into an action sequence, and then it goes background story. It kind of does that, but by the time you get to the end, you're like, now I know why he's done that, because I'm really worried for the characters that are left on screen. And it's like, And then, have you seen a trailer?
I have seen 2. I saw the very first teaser trailer, and then I saw like the one that I think they called it Rain. Something like that.
Right. Did you see the villain? Like the
is
supposed...
that Capaldi? Peter.
Yeah. So he's a part of the villain. But there's in the main trailer. There's Stario. Have you seen that?
Is there something like really large and luminous?
Large,
in the
like starfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's the main villain. So the story is really basic. Send in your villains to go and save the day, because a big bad entity is going to destroy Earth or be really bad for Earth, and that's it. So you could think, well, what more is there to this film? But it's those dialogue lines that a Gunn has so well shaped, that's between comedy and emotionality, that just balances out. I mean, Sylvester Stallone as a shark is like the best thing I've seen for so long. He's almost immortal shark, but he is a teddy bear on the inside. Like, he just wants a buddy. There is a weasel that, is one line of dialogue. He's not dangerous at all, except for the 24 kids he's eaten. There's little bits of things that just crop up that make it so much better. This guy's been in jail for almost killing Superman. You're like, what, really? Oh, okay. So it's just, he's obviously spent a lot of time and work on the script so that the visuals match up to it. The thing I loved most about it, apart from Margot Robbie, who steals the film again, is the practical sets. So there's a lot of visual effects, which there would obviously have to be. But if you go and watch some of the featurettes, the visual sets they built a beach with a wave machine to make it look like the ocean, and then built palm trees to make it look like a forest. And that was day one for Margot Robbie on set. She was like, I'm in a war zone and they've created everything. And then you see Idris Elba talking about how they created this machine so you can drop from level to level to level to level. And he was like, this is all real. It's like I'm a kid. When you play the superhero and you're diving down into like earthquakes, and said I got to be that, so it was easy for them to do that. It's just a wild ride. I really want to watch it again. So in case you didn't catch, I was really excited, and I'm excited to talk about it.
So you didn't like this one at all?
No,
right? That's okay.
No, it was awful.
I am super excited to see. I get to see it at a media screening on Tuesday night. This coming up.
Yeah.
So
I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, because some people have gone, because it's very gory, it's very tongue in cheek, it knows exactly what it wants to be, James Gunn has a lot of fun poking at his friends that are in the film as well. So he's just basically grabbed a whole bunch of people that you will recognize him having worked with before, and then he just does stuff with them, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right on. Well, yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it. I mean, the cast, I think, is wonderful. And I think, like, even when I think back to the original Suicide Squad, I didn't have, I think, as big of a problem as hardcore fans had with it. Because I was just watching a movie, My biggest complaint was that it was messy. that I didn't really know the characters. They were all kind of slammed in there. And so when peril would happen, I was like, oh, wait, was I supposed to care about you, or where did you go? And so it makes me really excited to hear that he has worked in so much more backstory into this to really build out
really dark
characters.
as well, like surprisingly dark background stories.
Cool. Well, and I mean, I'm there to have a good time. I want a good superhero movie, snarky, for at least from what I get from the trailers. I mean, this is not, this isn't the Avengers where they're all nice and proper and everything. This is
like they're bad guys. Yeah,
they're dirty cousins who, they're not allowed to any family functions, and that's really what I'm going to watch. I want to go see just this big, massive action comedy extravaganza. That sounds terrible that I use that word, but
I tell you what, I did have massive reservations about John Cena because I don't buy yet that he's a great actor.
Sure.
I know him as a wrestler, and The Rock has made that transition. And again, that his latest film in the Fast and Furious just kind of reinforced that to me. Like, I just thought it wasn't great at all. Okay. And now I'm of the opinion that it's definitely down to the dialogue and the director. So what the actors are given is what they get to play with. And this one, he often steals the film. If it wasn't for Margot Robbie or Idris Elba, I think he would be the one that you'd be drawn to. So that's the way he's written, the comedy timing. Yeah, so I'll be looking forward to what else Cena does in the future. Definitely stay to the end of the film because there's 2 post-credit scenes.
Okay, outstanding. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that he that it's not so much his talent or lack of talent. It's been what he's been given in the past that has maybe held him back. Whether
that's what it seems to be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I'm looking forward to it because that was one of my worries too. Like he wasn't one that I was excited about seeing. It was just like, well, okay, he's just one of the characters, whatever, and we'll go from there. But that
I think he really worked in this. Yeah.
Right on. All right. So I watched a movie last night it's on HBO Max. At least in the US. I don't know how their geo
we get Sky
works.
That gets most of HBO's content.
Okay. Well, it came out earlier this year, I believe. It's called The Empty Man. And when it first came out, I saw the title and I instantly thought Slender Man, which is that, we had chatted briefly.
Really creepy game thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is a horror movie. And there is a villain character, being, entity, bad guy thing, antagonist that is there called the Empty Man, but it's not something. I got to be careful. I don't want to spoil it. I'm
intrigued.
It stars James Badgedale, and I like him as an actor. There's something about his voice and the way he delivers his lines. He's kind of snarky, little, but the thing I think as I was watching this, it reminded me in small bits and pieces here and there of In the Mouth of Madness. Now, I don't know if have you seen? Okay,
I know of it. I've seen all the trailers and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that is one of my favorite all-time horror movies because it is just messed up. Not because it's it is gory, but it's not overly gory. It's more of just the mind messing that goes on with this, and you watch this character go on this psychological journey. Well, and this one in bits and pieces reminded me of that, but I was actually surprised at how well this movie was able to draw me in and then freak me out. I mean, there were moments, especially one moment, and it wasn't a jump scare. It wasn't, and I knew what was going to come because I could see it's a classic setup. You're looking down something and you see something, and so your brain goes, well, I've seen this before. I know what's going to happen. And even still, I get chills as it happened. Yeah, so it was good. I do think I want to watch it again because now that I've got the full context as more of the explanation came of what all is going on towards the end of the movie, my brain is then working to put all the pieces together, and I think I know some of them. I think I'm halfway confident that, okay, yes, this is what was going on. But I want to watch it again to be like, ooh, okay, yes, I was
So it
right.
makes you think.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, because the premise itself is really basic, of just and even the setup at the beginning is, it's like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes of setup that takes place in the past, not distant past, just, I don't know, 10, 20 years. And so you're watching this and you're like, what does this have to do with anything? Why? I mean, I get, like, you watch that and it's like, ooh, this is weird. There's some creepy imagery. Weird things are happening. Whoa, I didn't expect that. And then boom, cut, go to present day. And wait, what? How does this tie in? What's going on? And luckily it eventually weaves its way back, all of the myth and the lore that they've built and that they established at the very beginning. So it's, I don't know how many people, like, I don't know if I've seen any reviews on it. And I didn't review it yet. Because I just watched it, but I may save it for like my list of Halloween or horror movies that I do in October. But it's long. I mean, it's over 2 hours long. So it is
long for a horror.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is not your traditional horror. I mean, this is definitely, has some thinking that goes into it. It's more psychological in a lot of it. And there are some slow burn aspects to it, but then there's also some like, what the crap am I watching? And what the, so it all worked together. It was like, wow, that was actually really good.
It's got 70% on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment.
Okay.
And it was released in October last year, so I'm guessing it was a Halloween film.
A Halloween-ish movie.
Yeah,
okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, and when it was released did it go, I wonder if it went straight to like VOD or...
I think probably.
It must have had to, because I don't even
Because if it's 2020, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why not many people... Because some of those did go by the wayside, didn't they?
Yeah. And I don't remember seeing any marketing for this either. So that also could have been, and when you have the something man, and it's kind of the same-ish font for the movie poster, because you have the Bye Bye Man, Slender Man.
Yeah, the poster's got it's black and it's got that weird, creepy font with the drop down black bit. Oh, I've just seen an image of something really scary. Okay.
Was it?
Skeleton?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. The design that they used for that they showed it multiple times too, which was nice because you got to then focus in a little bit on it. But it is it's messed up.
I'm kind of intrigued, but also really scared. I don't do too well with the really scary films. Midsummer messed me up, man.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, that was intense, psychological kind of.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, this one I probably wouldn't put it in the same category ish.
If it's just horror, supernatural stuff, then I can probably deal with that.
Yeah,
The Exorcist made me laugh. So
okay, yeah, it's probably more. I would put it more in that going away from Midsummer,
right?
Some but I don't know. Let me know when you check it out. If you check it out,
I'll check it out. I'll let you know. I'll do a review and say, Chris from Movies and Munchies, what was he playing at? I haven't been able to sleep since.
Yeah. Well, we did watch an episode of Friends after because my wife was a little freaked out.
We do that. We watch like Simpsons or something funny if we've seen something really scary.
Yeah, just to kind of break that tension a little bit because it was late at night last night. It was, I don't know, it ended at like 12:30 or something like that. So it was it was a late night watch. It was just kind of one of those spur of the moment. Oh, this looks really good. Let's check this out. Okay. So.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
What else is on your list?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about Bartovik, but I remembered I watched something else. So I think I'll swap it out for... This is an interesting one because it was a comment on one of my reviews saying, "Hey Ruben, did you know this film has come out on Netflix today?" And I was like, "What is this?" And they sent me a message. Apparently, it's an Indian film that was meant to release this Friday, so just yesterday, but it got leaked online. So Netflix put it out a few days earlier, and so it's not a Netflix original, but it's a Netflix film. If that makes sense, because they buy the rights to screen it, and then they put their name on it and. Yep. So it's called Mimi. It's an Indian film. It's basically about a dancer an Indian dancer, like a Bollywood sort of dancing. She wants to go to their version of Hollywood and become an actress and a dancer. That's her big dream. She's obsessed with it. But she needs a lot of money, lakhs as they call it. She needs quite a bit. And there's this American couple that are wanting to surrogate a family. So they need a surrogate woman to carry their child because they can't have a child. And so Mimi ends up being the surrogate, so they're going to pay her a lot of money, and so she can get the money and go to see her dreams. And so the story is basically about Mimi being pregnant and this couple deciding they no longer want the child because there's something wrong with the child, according to the doctor. And so it has a really weird balance of comedy, like the sort of tongue-in-cheek, even with the music that these Indian films tend to do sometimes. It goes, and there's in this background. And it would have annoyed me if it didn't work. Like, when it was funny, it was actually really funny because the emotional side was there to it. Because I really hated the American couple. Like, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore, because maybe when you have kids, so when other kids are like kind of being harmed, you're invested much more easily. But the story, it feels like almost Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. When it ends, it feels like it has 3 different endings. And I looked through the film and I thought, oh, it's ending now, right? And it was 45 minutes left on the film still. I was like, where is this going? And then it basically takes another whole turn, and you see kind of the child's life and a bit of the story afterwards. It's almost three I guess main arcs in one film, but it's solidly filmed, it's solidly acted, and it was just one that I would have not even heard of it. It wouldn't have come up on my search, and I don't see Netflix promoting it at all anywhere. There is a trailer for it, but yeah, it's a really interesting one. There's one musical number. It's not a Bollywood film as such, but there's a musical number when you see Mimi dancing, and it's live, so it's not like it turns into a music video like you get in Bollywood films.
Sure.
Yeah, so it was a really interesting mix. I didn't even remember that I was reading, if that makes sense. So you're reading the subtitles, and for the most part, you're like, yeah, occasionally reading, but I got so emotionally involved because I was hating the American couple that like, oh, there's something wrong with the baby, it might have a defect, I'm out of here. And I was like, yeah, so interesting one, Mimi on Netflix.
Okay, well, cool. I'm gonna have to look for that one, because I have over the last several months dipped my toes into the Indian films and Bollywood, and some of them I've really enjoyed. And I do notice that on 1 or 2 of them where it has felt like it was ending, like it was wrapping up, and then we continue on, and it has a whole nother arc to it. And so knowing that going in, I think that's good.
Yeah, you tend to like, let's make tea. No, we're still going. Okay.
Yeah, well, and I think if you know that, or at least you understand that going in, it helps like set that expectation, because sometimes I know, like, I think the first time that it happened, it actually more bummed me out, because I was like, oh wow, we have half the film left, and I thought
this was
we were
good,
done.
but why aren't you done?
Exactly, yeah. So that, and the thing I appreciate is the ability to infuse different genres within the same movie, and how it transitions from one to the next, and a lot of the time it's seamless, and you're like, oh wow, okay, so we were having like this action or this drama, and now we've gone into a rom-com, and now we're back to some, it's just, and most of the time, from what I found, that it works fairly well. So, okay, Mimi.
Yeah.
Right on.
Is there anything you're looking forward to coming this week?
Oh gosh, I would have to look at my calendar here. Let's see. I don't. Because that's other than Suicide Squad. I mean, that's the one that I have. Yeah, that's the one in the theater that's coming. What do we got? There is a movie coming to Netflix that I've been trying to get a screener for to early access, so I can, just because Netflix stacks their movies, and so
they really do. Yeah,
it makes for a very long viewing session if I have to binge them all in the same day. But
it's tiring.
It really is. Yeah, I love it. I'm not knocking it. I mean, obviously we watch a lot of stuff because we enjoy watching a lot of stuff. But it's called The Swarm. And
yeah, I saw that's coming out. That looks really interesting.
Yeah, I don't really know much about it other than that.
I'm really hoping it's not something like The Happening.
Oh gosh, you please. Yeah, I hope not. I don't know. I mean, I've purposely not watched any trailers for it.
Yeah.
So I want to just kind of experience it. So we'll see. And I think oh no, that comes out in a couple weeks.
So we can talk about that next week.
Yes.
See what you thought.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you know what? There is one coming on Tuesday too. I don't know if you've watched the series. It's a Netflix series, How to Sell Drugs Online Fast. It's German.
I know of it. I left it too late, and then it was like 3 seasons, and I'm like, no, okay.
Okay. Well, they're quick. They're 6 episodes, each under 30 minutes, so it is a quick binge. I don't think that the third season, this last season that just released, is as strong as the previous 2. Still worth watching, but it's based on a real character. And who, like this teenager who started selling drugs online and became like just this massive online drug dealer. And so there's a documentary about him called Shiny Flakes that comes out this week on Netflix.
Okay.
And just because I love the series, I'm looking forward to learning more about the real person and to see what was the real story and how did they, what liberties did the show take? How close did it stick in other aspects? So I think that's going to be a fun one, I hope.
There's Control Z. The second season comes out on Wednesday, which I quite liked. The first one, thought it was quite fun. Didn't think it was brilliant. It had a few things it needed to sort out, but it kept me engaged enough to watch it to the end. So I was interested to know that they actually got a second season, and now I'm wondering what they're going to do with it. And then Hit and Run, I think, is going to be very good, and that comes out on Friday.
Yes,
that looks really intense and fun. That's definitely my cup of tea. So
yes, did you watch Fauda?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, that was so intense. Yeah.
Same actor, same creator. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So that's
So we got quite a few things. Netflix are churning it out this week, actually, and there's an animated film, Vivo. That
I just watched that last night.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Well, we'll discuss it later.
All right.
Right on. So okay, I have one more thing.
Okay.
That I think you really enjoyed too. We'll see, but. The animated random absurdity on Netflix that is Centaurworld.
Okay. Let's talk about Centaurworld.
This, when I went into it, I mean, I don't review a ton of animated stuff. I mean, when I think it's going to be of general interest, or when I think it's, it's like, ooh, this, a lot of people might like this. Okay, I'll check it out. And this one was the first episode I watched, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of intrigued by this, but I don't know where it's going. And
what are you?
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's just like, oh, okay. I mean, the animation is beautiful. It's, there's almost like 2 styles that they have going on with the, the hard lines and the edges, and then the really soft once they get into the Centaurworld. But then the story and the ridiculousness that they're able to pull into it, I became absolutely invested. I mean, as each episode went along, I was sucked in more and more. And then you combine it with the musical numbers, I was like, in love.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And I wasn't even sure why at the end, because it was so crazy sometimes. I'm like, what did I just watch? Like, there were moments. What's the guy's name? Doug?
Oh my gosh, Comfortable Doug.
Comfortable Doug. I mean, you just need to watch any kind of scene with Comfortable Doug in it, and you're like, what on earth is this series? Because he's a comfortable, and he's Doug, but the bottom half of him is like a worm sort of creature, and the top half of him is, I don't know, a bald man.
He's a Moltar. A Moltar.
Oh yeah, a Moltar. So yeah, everything on this planet of centaurs is centaur. Which is crazy enough, because you go from leaves to the sun to the whales. And then you look at the normal type of centaurs, and there are no normal type of centaurs. You have a giraffe, a zebra, a bird centaur who's not a bird, because he'll tell you he's not a bird. And that's just the crazy. I have been surprised though at if you check out my reviews and explained, because I did an ending explained video, the negativity towards this series. Yeah, I've been
Really?
very surprised. People like, because Netflix released the first entire episode, people
Oh.
judged the whole series on this one episode. And they've just like, yeah, this is silly, this is so stupid, I don't understand adults liking this. And I would put my hand to my heart and I would say this is probably more for adults than it is for kids. Just because it's an animated show doesn't mean it's a kid's show. There's so much that's in depth with this show. Like, the more you go into it, the stuff that they're dealing with in themes. Like, there's one whole theme just about allowing yourself to cry as an adult and just being okay to cry, and they tackle that and they go for it. They don't shy away from it. And they just keep on doing those themes. I mean, I'm telling you like you haven't seen it, but yeah, it's I was so surprised. But then the arc had me as well. It's like, by the time they end, I was like, where's the Nowhere King?
That song that the leaves sing before we even get to that episode.
Before we even get there.
Oh, that's
haunting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is disturbing. And I think, it's a bummer that people are, that they shied away from because of episode 1. Now, because if I had only seen episode 1, I would probably, because I left episode 1 being very not sure if I wanted to watch it. But as I did watch, every episode built more and more, and I became, you get more depth on the characters, the journey becomes more real, and you watch, so many of them go through so many different character growth moments, that they're each learning something, and they're learning together too. And it was wonderful. And you're right, this is way more of the adult bent than kids. And I think kids can watch it.
Kids will love it. They will enjoy it. But that's at the front level. Behind it, the adults, I think, will really appreciate what's going on there.
Exactly. Yeah, there was one moment, and I think it may have been in the first episode or the second episode, and it was like one little line, but Glendale, the deer tar who has the portal thing in her stomach, and she's just a kleptomaniac, and I think she said something like, stealing makes me feel warm and fuzzy, or taking things makes me feel warm and fuzzy. And my wife was like, "What? You can't tell little kids that." That's, well, yeah, no, exactly. It is but adults understand that, and understand the context that is going and how it fits in with her character. So, I actually yesterday, I went back and watched part of episode 9 with Comfortable Doug's song because it was in my head.
Comfortable Doug, Comfortable Doug. Amazing.
He is my favorite character out of the show, and I like several of the characters, but when he came on, I was like, "What the? Oh my gosh!" Okay, I love this.
I feel really sorry for the tree guy.
Jebri.
What's his name? Jebri. Because he can't even sit without being in serious pain, because he's tree and he's got to move his bark legs. It's just It's like, you could do it, Jebri, but he just appears randomly as well in scenes. I'm like, okay, that's Jebri. Hi, Jebri.
The show is, I looked it up on IMDb, and it looks like there are another 10 episodes that are coming hopefully very soon.
Yeah, the director's been very tight-lipped about that, but there's no way she can disprove IMDb's 20 episodes and all those actors who have done those 20 episodes as well. So hopefully soon.
I hope so, because the end, it was. I'm invested. I really am, and I think too. I'm hoping that because it was all made as one season, and Netflix has just kind of chopped it in half. Yeah, that you're not going to lose momentum or story arc when, that sometimes happens when you bring on a new season, how things feel just a little bit different. And I hope that that's not the case. I hope that it just continues that momentum. And
they shouldn't wait too long either, because you lose momentum when it's like a year and a half or 2 years. You're like, what happened again?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I do love the design though of the bad guy at the end. I thought he was incredible. Right? Like
Yes.
it was really scary, and I was like, "Oh, that's so good." Reminds me a little bit of Fern Gully, kind of that oil slick design. Very cool.
Yes.
And then I don't know if you caught because you mentioned the song, but the Cats sang the song as well. And I was like, yeah, so there's great threads that you just pull apart there. All know about it. The Centaur world's been affected by this before. They're just living in their little happy world, ignoring what's coming towards them. But there's that woman wizard who knows some stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, who I've got my theories on.
I do too. So yeah, I'm gonna have to watch your Explained to see, so I can see what the theories, what some of the theories are, where we line up and stuff. So
Right.
it's
Be very interesting.
yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to season 2, part 2, maybe. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but sweet. Anything else on your list?
I'm trying to think I'm watching a lot at the moment that's on HBO. Some really interesting stuff that I'm looking forward to review. There's some mini series, Perfect Nine Strangers. That's Nicole Kidman fronted. It's a I think 6 episodes. So it's a short mini series, but bunch of people need to be fixed. Basically, they get recruited to go to one of these retreats where they do certain things, but this is an out there type of place. They were all specifically recruited, and every single episode you're just like, but what's actually going on? And Nicole Kidman just chews up every single moment like she's on screen. She's done something with her face, and she's not lost weight, but it's almost like she's holding her mouth, her jaw differently for her character. When you see her, you totally believe like she's some sort of shaman person that controls this place. It almost feels culty, but you're like, is she helping them or not? It's very good.
Okay, is that a weekly release or is it all at once?
Yeah, probably weekly release.
Okay.
Although I've seen that also, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to say anything that's gonna ruin it for people, but yeah, thoroughly enjoying that so far. Really intense, intelligent writing, and I really appreciate that because you don't always get that.
Sure, yeah. And you said it's on HBO?
Yeah, so here in the UK, so it's on Hulu. And it'll be one of those crossovers that will go to Disney, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it will come here via Disney or Amazon. I think Amazon have the rights, so it's really doing the rounds.
Yeah, so whichever country you happen to be in, check all of the streaming platforms.
Absolutely.
Have you...
Next week we can talk. I'll add on to my list about the Titans season 3 because I have some screeners for those, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Right on. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have some hopefully some good stuff that we watch in this coming week.
I think so.
Yeah, I've got my fingers crossed for several of them. So, right on. Okay,
Awesome.
Well, hopefully everybody, you have enjoyed the best thing we watched this week. I mean, like we said, it's a semi-regular, hopefully, maybe even regular collaboration that Ruben and I will do. And just, let us know in the comments, as always, what is the best thing you watched this week? What stood out to you? Because I don't know about you, Ruben, but I love getting all the recommendations from in the comments, because I have this massive Google Docs list. So when anytime anybody recommends something to me, I add it to it, and I very slowly get through that list.
Yeah, we're trying to get through it because our lists are never ending.
Exactly, but it's I've got the genres, the decades, the everything. It is so wildly diverse, and that's what I love. And so it really is. It's like, oh, I've never seen that. I've never even heard of this. I'm going to add that to my list because it just expands I don't know, my knowledge. That's not really right. The word,
yeah, you have movie knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just exposes me to different things, and sometimes it's it's a different culture, and so that's even a lot of fun too. So you get to hear different languages, the way they make films or make shows. So yeah. So please. Sure.
Yeah, did you know that one time I saw Jean-Claude Van Damme doing a handstand while high on drugs?
He was high on drugs, or you were high on drugs?
No, he was high on drugs. I was on the film set. Yeah, so I know there was a recent Jean-Claude Van Damme film on Netflix. It wasn't that one. It was, if you want to go and check out my name on IMDb and look at the films I've been involved with, I'm sure you could do some deductive work, deduction, and figure out which
one
which one Van Damme was being mad on. Every film, maybe? I don't know.
All right, we all have our homework. We're gonna check out Ruben on IMDb and do some detective work.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Well, as always, hey, you know what? Thanks for joining us. Again, Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. Me, I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.